Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use LivePortrait. It is a technique that allows you to take motion, basically the eye and lip motion from a video and transfer it over to a static image. Here is the GitHub repository for LivePortrait. And if we go down, we can see that there is a Hugging Face space that you can use to try out. And there's also the research paper here. This is the Hugging Face space. And we can see the structure here. On the left side here, we have a source portrait. This is going to be the static image that you want to animate. And then on the right side, there is a driving video. This is going to be the video where the motion will be captured and then transferred over to the source project. As usual, I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can try out directly on your browser. This is free. Now the research paper here, you can see at the top, it's 16 pages. So again, I'm going to leave a link if you want to read it and see the technology. You can look at it here. I would like to point out one thing here, and this is in the last page. And I know it's a little bit small here, but this section here, it tells us a little bit about how the LivePortrait works. So this is the source video, and then we have an image. So what it's going to do here is that, imagine that this is frame number 1. It's going to take the expression, the motion, the different motion of the eyes and lips, and then transfer it over to the face here. The rest of the image, basically the body, the hand, all of that will be untouched. So it tells us here that given a source video sequence, such as a dancing video, the model can reanimate the head part using the driving video sequence, and the final edited video frame inherits the expression. These expressions are from the eyes and lip, and it's going to preserve the non-head region from the source frame. Okay, so this is important to note. It's not going to change anything in the output video, whether it's the body, the background, anything that is not from the head is not going to be animated. Now, when it comes to ComfyUI, there are two main projects that you can use to test out inside of ComfyUI. The first one is from Shadow CZ007, and the only disadvantage of this one is the language barrier. This one, I believe it's in Chinese, and it also requires a couple of nodes here. Now, the one I will be using is from TJ, and this one is in English. Basically, it's the same implementation. If you check the original date, so basically the GitHub creator date, you will notice that both the Shadow version as well as TJ version, they both started this project on the same day. It's just purely coincidence. Now, one thing to note here is that in my last video, I talked about Bullet and I mentioned how to install Inside Face. If we go down into the requirements section for LivePortrait, it tells us that you will require Inside Face. So if you do not have Inside Face, please go back. I've covered Inside Face in my Instant ID, IP adapter, as well as my recent video in ComfyUI Bullet video. As always, the link will be in the description below. Now, if you already have it, the installation process is quite simple. Go into the GitHub repository. At the top, there will be a green button. Click on it. Go into the HTTPS tab and then copy the link from there. You can click on this little icon here that says copy to clipboard. In your file browser, navigate to where you have ComfyUI, then go inside the ComfyUI folder. Go into custom nodes folder, and then inside the custom node folder at the top, click on the address bar and type in CMD. this will open the terminal directly into the custom nodes folder. Now you simply need to type in git space clone space and then paste the link there. Now depending on your terminal, you may have to do Ctrl+V or Ctrl+Shift and V, or even you have to go into the title bar at the top, right click and select paste, or even paste as text. So this will depend on your terminal. Either way, you need to have git clone and then the link there. Press enter and it will start downloading. Once it's done, you will see something like this where it says done at the end. Now go back to the file browser and start ComfyUI. Once ComfyUI has started, you should see under the custom nodes section, ComfyUI LivePortrait has been imported. Now, if you see an error message saying no module found inside face, then you know that you do not have inside face. Again, please go back to that Pulip video. I explained how to download and install inside face. So that was the first method of installing LivePortrait. Now, if you are not using the ComfyUI portable version, then the easiest method to install LivePortrait is to simply go into the manager, then click on custom nodes manager, and then at the top here there is a search field. Search for LivePortrait. There are no spaces, and install the ID 270. You will see an install button here. Click on it. Make sure that the author is KJ. All right. So at this point, I hope you have LivePortrait installed. Next would be to load up the basic workflow. Click on the load button here. Your default file browser will open. Navigate to ComfyUI, and inside the custom nodes folder, there will be a LivePortrait folder. Enter that. One of the folders will say examples. Go into it, and you will get a .json file. This is just a workflow. Select it and click on the open button. It will open the workflow. Now, if any of you get this error message saying that there are a couple of nodes missing, click on close and then click on the manager, then click on install missing custom nodes. Here it will list out all the custom nodes that are missing. Simply check the top checkbox there, make sure that it is checked. At the bottom here there will be an install button. Click on it and you will see like a circle progress bar. Just wait for it to complete. Now one thing to note here is that this KJ nodes for ComfyUI has a conflict, and it conflicts with the ComfyUI _ SCSP nodes, basically the split image channels. If you have this custom node installed, what I recommend you to do is go into your manager. At the top here there is a filter. Click on it, select install, search for ComfyUI _ CSP nodes and disable that node before continuing with LivePortrait. This is just to ensure that you do not get any errors, any unexpected errors. Alright, so once it's completed, you will see restart required. Simply close out of your ComfyUI and restart it. Once it's restarted, you will see the workflow like this. Now there's only two main nodes which you need to know of, and those are the load image node. That's going to be responsible for the source image. And remember, the source image is the image that you want to animate. Then there is this load video upload by video helper suite. This is going to be the driving video. It's the video that LivePortrait will take the motion, the eye and lip motion from it. So for the source image and the driving video as well, the LivePortrait GitHub repository has a couple of examples that we can use to test out the installation. So for the load image, click on where it says choose file to upload. And again, it's going to open your file browser, navigate to ComfyUI, In this case, navigate inside the LivePortrait folder, go inside of Assets, go inside Examples, and then there will be two folders. The first one would be for the driving video, and the other one is for source. In this case, click on Source, and then you can select any of the example images here. Now, if you're trying with your own image, then make sure that image is sharp, it is clean, and the head is the main focus. Ideally, you also want it to be a square image, but LivePortrait can work out where the face is within the image, and then crop it, do the animation on the face, and then reconstruct it later. I will show you an example later using a vertical image. Now, in this particular case, just for this demo, I'm going to select the S7 one, simply because, as you can see, the face is front facing. We have the eyes, the lip is clearly visible here. Now, next, for the driving video, click on Choose Video to Upload. Again, go back into that same ComfyUI LivePortrait folder, Assets, Examples. This time go into Driving, and then select any of the example video here. Again, same thing. These videos, as you can see, they all share the same characteristic. We have a face that is front facing. There is very little head movement. It's only the eyes and the mouth, basically the lips, which are moving. So choose any of the example image. I'm going to choose the first one, and just behind me there will be an open button. Click on it. Your workflow should be something like this. There should be an image at the top and then a video at the bottom. Now you can leave everything as is. Basically the default should work, and then click on the Q prompt. Now if you check your terminal, you will see that it's going to download a couple of models. It will also identify the correct inside face, and it will download the models for inside face. Now, once you see animating and then a percentage, you know that it's actually doing the animation. And you can see that there's, in this particular case, there's 78 frames that it's doing. So if you go back to ComfyUI, we can see the LivePortrait process and the green progress bar there. Just give it a couple of seconds and you should see it go into the video combine like this. And the video combine will just take the individual frames and combine it into a video so that we can see it as actual motion. All right, so it's completed, and we can see that this is the original video on the left side, the eye movement, and then we have the mouth, the lip. If we look at the generated video, we can see that the eyes are moving as well as the lip. And this whole process took about 2 minutes to download the different models plus generating the image. Now, just the generation part took about 44 seconds. So keep in mind that I am running a GTX 1650 as my graphics card. Of course, if you have faster internet connection, it's going to download the model faster than this. All right, so here is an example I've done using a vertical portrait image. And you can see that I'm using the same video source. So the eye movement and the lip movement was mapped correctly to the face. So what happened is that LivePortrait is going to crop the image around the face, and we have some parameters going to crop it by 512 by 512 and basically identify the image, and then is going to do the mapping of the motion on the face. So even if you have like a vertical or a landscape video, it should work most of the time. All right, so I went ahead and loaded the default example workflow once again, and this time I'm going to give you an explanation of the different nodes that we have. So starting from number one, the top one, where it says download LivePortrait models, This is the node which is responsible to download all the models. I recommend to leave it as auto. It will automatically download the correct version. The next one below it, we've already talked about it. This load image is going to be the source image, the image that you want to animate. The video one is going to be the driving video. It's where LivePortrait will capture the motion. Again, remember the motion of the head, and then basically transfer it over to that static image. Now, the main node for LivePortrait is this LivePortrait process, and it takes the model, the source image, and the video as input. It's going to output full images. These are individual frames, and these full images will also contain the full image length. So if your source image is, let's say, 512 by 768, this full images will also be 512 by 768. The crop images at the top, this will only show you where LivePortrait is cropping the source image, 512 by 512 usually, based on the size here. And you can basically debug. You can add like a preview node here. You can debug it to see if it's actually capturing the correct portion of the image. Now, one thing to note is you can also add nodes in between. You can add an image crop the image yourself instead of letting LivePortrait crop it. Now, as for the different parameters, these one here, the first four, these are the parameters responsible for the cropping. And I found a piece of the code here that's basically a class crop config, and it already has some defaults. The default are 512, 2.30, and minus 0.125. I've also found another piece of code, and this one explains a little bit what it's doing. We can see that the Vx, Vy, the ratio, if you add like a positive value, it's going to go up. If you put a negative value, it's going to go down. And these are just the crop arguments. Now, the lip underscore 0, right now it's true. And I've just added an image here so that we can explain it. The lip 0, it's telling LivePortrait that at the beginning of the animation, the lip should be closed. So 0, basically no movement there. And this parameter will only take effect if eye retargeting and lip retargeting are both false. So if these two are false, the lip 0 will take effect. Now, eye retargeting, I have an example for it. Basically, it's going to target only the eye if you set it to true. All right, so here's the video for when the checkbox, basically the toggle button for eye retargeting is true. And we can see that I'm using the same input video. Let me slow the video a little bit down because it's going too fast. We can see the eye movement here and the lip movement as well. But in the final image, we only see a little bit of movement in the eye. Basically, it just got the blinking. It did not capture much of the movement. And of course, the lip is barely moving. It's not moving. Maybe at the end here, you will see a little bit of movement just there. And then this one is lip retargeting. So this one is targeting the lip. And we can see the eyes are not moving, but the lip, we have a little bit of movement there. That's basically the movement there. Now, I've also done one where I've unchecked or basically turned lip 0 false. I've turned eye retargeting true and then lip retargeting true. And this is the result. It's basically the eye retargeting plus the lip retargeting together. So we can see the movement from the eye retargeting and then the movement from the lip retargeting there. Now, in my opinion, I think the default works really well. But if you are not having good result, you can try to play around with these different toggle button. Now, the stitching, this has to do with the basically joining the individual frames together for the final video output. I've set it to true, it works. I've also tried with false and I've barely noticed any difference. But if you find that the individual frames are flickering, you can basically make sure that this stitching is true. Now, the relative, I could not find any information about this one, so I'm not sure what it's doing. The onyx_device, this is the same thing that we have when you do like face portrait in IP adapter, instant ID, or even pull it. And I've always set it to CPU. I did not see much of a difference there. Now, the left side here, the live portrait, and then basically the video combined, that is all that you need in order for live portrait to work and to get a result. The other three, the preview one, this is just for debugging purposes. You can basically watch and look at the individual crop frames. And then the bottom two, these resize and concatenate, is just so that you get the comparison. The left side is going to be the original video and the right side is going to be the final output. If you don't want that, you can select those two, you can remove it, it's fine. The workflow is going to work just fine. Now for the video combine, that's the usual video combine. So make sure that if you want to save the output, the save_output is set to true. Otherwise, it's going to be temporary. If you close out of ComfyUI, you will lose those videos. So that is it for LivePortrait. That's all I have for you today. And yes, one thing, I got a comment in my last video, in the pulled video, asking me which one is better, pulled or LivePortrait. And I hope this video helped clear the confusion. Pulled and live video, those two, they are doing two different things. In the case of pulled, it's taking a face and generating a new image using that face. In the case of LivePortrait, it is taking a video, capturing the motion from the face in that video and transferring it over to an image. So two different things there. You can actually use pulled to generate a portrait, a face portrait, and then you can take the output of that face portrait, pass it over to LivePortrait to animate it. That also works. Don't hesitate to take LivePortrait and plug it into your existing ComfyUI workflows. All right, so that is it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something. And let me know about the different results that you've got. Anything better, worse. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe if you have not, and I will see you in the next one.